Hello, crafty friends. My name is Jessica, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I have a card for you where I'm using one of my inked up panels from my Color Blend series. This is Citrine, Cadette, and Violet, and some other Simon Says Stamp products to complete this card. We have Arches Background, Butterfly Dreams, and the Clean Line Stack Sentiments. So we're going to go ahead and get started by inking up this Arches Background stamp from Simon Says Stamp. And I'm doing a little test here with my ink colored backgrounds. I like to make sure that they're fully dry by adding embossing powder to them and to see if it sticks. If it doesn't stick, then we'll know it's good. This one's been sitting for a while, so it probably didn't need to be checked, but it's always good. Nothing worse than inking up a stamp and stamping it and finding that your panel wasn't completely dry. So I knew I wanted to ink up this stamp and only do a portion of it. So I'm using some pixie tape to mask off an area, and then I'm going to go ahead and ink up this background panel. I do see that I have it upside down, so we'll go ahead and flip it over. There we go. And then we're going to go ahead and ink it up with some Versamark Clair Nocturne ink. And I use this ink because I want to add embossing powder over top, clear embossing powder, so that it gives it just a little bit more of a shine. Now, I didn't want to waste ink by inking up the whole panel and then creating a big mess potentially. So I marked off using some additional pixie tape to give me a guide on where I need to put the ink for this small little spot. I will forever use sweatshirts in my craft room because it creates the best slip surface on the Misty to get the most pressure and not feel like you're pushing down or your hand sticking. It glides smoothly. A lot of people use the tools that are out there. I know there's like a Stampin' Bug and a Chucky tool, but I just use my sweatshirt. So we're going to go ahead and pull off that pixie masking tape that I used. And the reason is because I know if I leave it on, I'm going to get inky. So we're going to go ahead and pull it off and then quickly add on some Simon Says Stamp Clear embossing powder. We're going to do this because it's going to not only set that ink, but it's going to create a dimension and add a little bit of shine to this Arches background stamp. So I went ahead and heat set that off camera, and then we're going to go ahead and do a quick clean to ensure that these stamps are ready for the next time that I use them. I use Squeaky Clean to clean up pretty much everything. My stamps, my grip mats, the stamp and stick mat. I absolutely love it, and it smells so good. The seasonal scents are my favorite. I buy a couple spray bottles at a time and just use them until they're gone. So after stamping this, I didn't like the way that it stamped where I had it masked. So I'm going to go ahead and use this very thin strip of black cardstock and some liquid glue to go ahead and enclose that section of stamping to make it look more almost like it's a gate in a garden. It's kind of what I was going for with this colored background. And that just makes it seem more finished. And then we're going to go ahead and stamp some butterflies. I love this Butterfly Dreams, and I knew I wanted to add these two kind of medium-sized butterflies, the ones that are full winged. And I knew I wanted to add them to some acetate. So I'm going to go ahead and add back my foam into my Misty since we're using a clear stamp. I did remove it when I was using the red rubber because it's thicker and it will not stamp good if you're using red rubber with that foam piece in there. So we're going to go ahead and put these on here, and then I'm going to be stamping them onto some vellum and also embossing them. So we're going to use some anti-static powder. We're going to go back to that Clair Nocturne ink. And I like to use this Clair Nocturne ink because it's a pigment-based ink, so it's going to stay wet longer. Instead of using a Versamark ink and then black embossing powder, this is a cleaner way to get the same results. Your black might not be as dark as using a black pigment powder, but in my experience, black pigment powder tends to get all over, so this is just a little bit of a cleaner way to do that. So I do have the dies for this set, so I went ahead and off camera cut them out, and then we're going to do another quick clean to ensure that these stamps are ready for the next time. Again, using Squeaky Clean. I'm running low on my pumpkin donut, but I have Jelly Bean up next, so I'm excited for that new scent. That'll be a good one for spring. If you're interested in any of the products that I use to create this card, I do have them linked below in my description box, so be sure to check that out. For the sentiment, I pulled out this clean line stack set from Says Stamp. I absolutely love this set. This is a great one to have in your craft room that could meet a lot of different needs. Birthday, love, encouragement, miss you. There are some really great sentiments in one set with this one. I'm going to go ahead and use the one that says you're my most favorite person, and I'm going to ink it up on some black Says Stamp cardstock using some clear embossing ink, and then we're going to use some white embossing powder. The white embossing powder is the only one that I keep in a tub like this, and that just is because it's the one I use the most. I don't think, though, moving forward, I'm going to put it in this container once I use this all because my space is a little bit limited and the jars work a little bit better. Now, if you don't have one of these erasers, it is a great asset to your craft room. I'm using it here to buff off the stray little embossing powder pieces that are showing up, and just one little touch and boop, they're gone. It's absolutely easy to get off all those little imperfections. You just have to be careful because if you do hit the text that you want to stay, it will definitely take it off. So just be mindful of that. But I use it for this. You can also lift ink off of it very quickly if you react fast and it's not like a super dark color. And it's just a really fun little thing to have. We're going to go ahead and cut this out using the coordinating stamps or die sets. And then we're going to go ahead and build the card. So I'm going to go ahead and lay it out, get a visual of how I want it to look, and then we're going to go ahead and we'll start gluing down all the little pieces. So I'm just figuring out where I want those butterflies. This is what I call fiddling, and then we're going to move on. I cut all of my own card bases out of Neenah Solar Crest 110-pound cardstock. And so because of that, they'd get a little wonky. But for this one, I'm just now looking at, do I want the white border or do I not? Something I also fiddle with. And I decided I did not want a white border. So because I cut my own card bases, sometimes they're a little bit larger than my panels. So I use this little trimmer just to cut down them a little bit to ensure that when I go to glue my background panel on, you're not seeing any of the white cardstock. Just adding some dot runner and then whoop, we're going to go ahead and put it on. I do like to burnish the back of my card panels to ensure that you get a really good grip. Now you'll see here I used a scrap piece of black cardstock. So there's this cute little cat face poking out at me on the back of this sentiment. And I'm going to go ahead and cover it up using some foam tape. This is my favorite foam tape. This is Ulta New. And then we're going to go ahead and place this sentiment in the middle of this card. I am a over adhesor, so you would probably not normally use maybe that much foam tape, but I'm paranoid about my cards collapsing in the mail. So I like to put as much foam tape as possible to ensure that that doesn't happen. I will say I had 2 cards come back to me today because I didn't have enough postage on them. And they're no different than any card that I've mailed before. For me, I find that it really depends on the postal worker, whether or not they want to make me pay more for postage, because I have a tester that I run all of my cards through to ensure that they're the right size. And sometimes they come back and sometimes they don't. And so today I did have 2 come back that I'll have to put back in the mail with more postage on Monday. We're going to go ahead and finish this card using some of these clear new gems from Says Stamp. These are awesome. I absolutely love these jewels. I went ahead and bought every single color from the last release and will be buying every single one moving forward. I also bought an additional little container of these because I know I'm going to love them so much. So we're going ahead and fiddling, figuring out exactly where I want these jewels. And once I am content, we're going to go ahead and glue them down. Typically, I tend to do 3 and 2 for a total of 5 gems, just because odd numbers are more pleasing. But I find that these gems are so amazing that I want to add some more. So I'm going to go ahead and add, I think, a total of 7 jewels, which is still an odd number, but it allows me to just bring in a little bit more bling for this card. And now that I have them where I want them, we're going to go ahead and glue them down. And that's it for today. Be sure to check out the description box below for any of these items that interest you. I do use affiliate links at no cost to you, but they do provide me a small kickback for you shopping with my link. I appreciate you guys being here with me today. Be sure to subscribe and take care.